with creative economy. And creative economy is a work based on information, on knowledge, on the brain. To have the inspiration of the people being expressed in a way that you can make a living out of it. So it's creative economy. And I'm pleased to be saying this again because I was here in Istanbul last year, I think, to do a meeting on creative economy, because Istanbul, as you know, was designated last year as the cultural capital of Europe. And the government of Turkey has done wonderful work to have set up centers on creative economy in Istanbul to involve all the entertainers, artists, painters, writers, authors, which are existing in abundance in this place, to do the work together with them. Because of the creative economy, it also generates a huge flow of tourism into Istanbul. Establish Istanbul not only as a center of culture, but culture that can help to enhance tourism, and vice versa. It becomes multilingual, ethnic, international kind of culture, as the center is here, which used to be the center for a long, long time ago. So from the outset, the role of the state is so crucial, and the state needs to understand. I remember, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, when I used to be in the position that the Deputy Prime Minister is now in the position of Turkey. I used to be Deputy Prime Minister of my own country. When I used to run the different national authorities, like the National Investment Promotion Authorities, the National Information Communication Technology Authority, we also had our own National Tourism Authority. And because of the change that we introduced from the National Tourism Authority, from being managed by one of the technocrats or bureaucrats, to change it to just invite people from the industry, tourism industry, to manage it, to be the CEO of the National Tourism Authority. Although it, of course, has the organic link with the government, but it's more or less independently managed by someone from the industry. That it began to show the real impact on the development of the industry ministers. So what I'm trying to say is that first, the government, the states must have their role. They must have their understanding. And the basic thing for this understanding is to always be mindful that we need to have multi-departmental, multi-stakeholders dialogue all the time. In order to set up one national strategy for tourism, it's just like going to the negotiations on services at the World Trade Organization. You need to be able to discuss with people from the creative economy, which involve health, education, communication, information, advertisement, hotel businesses, tour agencies, cultural people, regional people. The local authorities will have to be involved. You cannot do it from the top down. It has to be the dialogue with the multi-stakeholders, and then you can establish the kind of thing you would like to see tourism to be developed. Sorry, I know that I have just a few minutes to go on, so I would try to conclude quickly. And included in this plan, and I think I would like to add, because when I hear tourism being discussed, I don't hear much about domestic tourism. You see, when we discuss tourism, we keep talking about international tourism, people traveling in and out and everything, but domestic tourism was one of the approaches that we use in my own country and in Asia a lot. You also have to encourage your own people to travel in your own country. You would go to many countries in the world, and then you would end up by saying, hey, there's so many destinations in my own country I haven't seen. Many people are like this, including all of us, most of us here. So the part that we miss out is that domestic demand has to be created, and particularly for tourism. The second point that I would like to emphasize, and just I have to say this because the French government has been so kind as to organize one of the preparatory events in the city of Caen. I think it was in Bretagne, Caen, to prepare for the discussion on sustainable tourism. I would suggest you to read one of the reports that UNCTAD has done on sustainable tourism, to be looking at what actually the Deputy Prime Minister has been saying, mindful of environment, mindful of the involvement of the people with low income, mindful that we need to be looking at social fabrics, local players. All these are very fragile. And we need to be looking at all parts to not only be benefiting from the so-called mass tourism. Look at what Bhutan has been doing so well. Bhutan has never tapped into mass tourism, and yet is named as one of the most successful cases of having the kind of sustainable development of tourism that one should be looking at. One of the things we discussed in Kong was the issues of leakages. When you discuss tourism, we would like poverty to be held. We would like the share of incomes to be increased for the domestic players. We don't want to see leakages that foreign investors take away all the benefits, incoming tourists consume only imported goods, and services will have to be provided by international tour operators. I don't mind all this being provided from the international side. But I mind very much when there are countries after countries. I see particularly the list of LDCs full with that. Only 10 or 20% of the earnings in the tourism sector is kept in the country. This is not good enough. So, the sustainable tourism is meant to do this sort of thing. I was in Ecuador some time ago, yes, and Ecuador not being part of the LDCs, they consulted us on how to deal with the Galapagos Island, how to make Galapagos Island sustainable. They're having influx of mass tourism, but they want to do better than that. Last point, just 1 minute, is on regional cooperation. People in Asia have done so well, the ASEAN, the Indian Ocean Rim, and I heard that also in Western Africa, you must have regional cooperation because tourism is not only about one destination. It's much cheaper, more economic to do things together. Sell destination together, book tours together, use e-tourism to book tours and do it as a group. And cooperation will help also to facilitate, to deal with the issue of monopoly on certain services that would be so costly to the tourists. And you should have the government deal with that. And regional cooperation has been actually very conducive in Asia to have mobilized huge amounts of the kind of tourism that we would like to see in terms of sustainable development. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr.